for a lot of people, there is like a transition period in doing the carnivore lifestyle. So in this video, I want to talk you through exactly what that looks like, what to expect during this transition phase to actually set you up for success, so that then you can reap the benefits of everything that the carnivore lifestyle has to offer. Weight loss, getting rid of autoimmune disease, getting rid of potentially diabetes too. That's what we're going to talk about today in this specific video. So during this transition phase, something that we really want to focus on, you guys, like getting away from all the programming that we've always been taught for years, one of which is counting calories. This was something when I discovered carnivore that like blew my mind. We are not counting calories on carnivore. We are focusing on eating until we're full. We're focusing on eating intuitively. That's just been like the story of my life. The calorie counting apps, when I used to drink alcohol, what's my alcohol consumption against calories that I'm eating? Ditch it. You're not doing any of that in this. It's like, honestly, it's so liberating. I'm smiling because of all of the struggles that I know I've been through, and I'm sure you guys have been through in just that arena. So during this transition phase, ditch that. The other thing that you want to ditch is this concept of counting macros. I am not bashing on counting macros, I want to say. I used to have a really bad eating disorder. I was anorexic, bulimic, all of it. And so I didn't actually know how to eat. So I hired somebody to teach me the macros. That's the fat, the protein, the carbs. I'm not saying that doing that is bad. I am saying that on carnivore, you don't need to do it. It's completely unnecessary. The macros, balancing that out against your total daily energy expenditure and all that stuff that we've all learned, it's not something that we need to focus on here. Get away from that mindset specifically for the carnivore lifestyle. We also want to get away from tracking our ketone levels. That's something that's not the goal of the carnivore lifestyle. You can go to a keto diet. You can have like sometimes 25 to 30 carbs. In carnivore, you're having none of those, at least to start. You might be able to reintroduce fruit, but for anybody that's new to carnivore, you want to just ditch all of that, because we are doing almost kind of like a massive elimination diet and allowing our bodies to completely reset by just eating the protein and the fat. So don't worry about checking your ketones and making sure that, potentially you're in ketosis. That's really not the point of what we're doing here, and you might get false readings. The next thing that we really want to focus on during this transition phase, again, it could be a month, it could be a week, it could be immediately. It really is up to you and how your body's responding, but eat enough food. Literally. Again, I'm smiling because it's so liberating. I know you guys feel me on this. If you have struggled with your weight and you hated the way you looked and you hated the way you felt and your clothes didn't fit and all the stuff, you know the struggle of eating less food and making sure that you are eating at like 80% fullness or something like that. Or maybe like skipping a meal because you ate too much sugar the day before and blah, 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 blah. Eat until you're full. It's such a liberating thing. Eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you want to. But here's the other thing. You honestly might not even want to. The other side of that is you don't have to eat if you're not that hungry. During this transition phase, you might get to a place where you're feeling like one meal a day. That's doing it for you. That's all good. Your body is adapting to using fat as fuel instead of carbs as fuel. When you start to actually use fat as fuel, your body sometimes is less hungry, like you're less hungry. Those days you're gonna be more hungry, right? It's just going to depend. But on whatever day you're on, just know that that's all good. And eventually it'll even out for you after this transition phase. Eventually it'll smooth out for you. Again, if you don't, go cheat and have a bunch of processed foods and, sneak a little bit of pie here and there and all that during this transition phase, you'll be fine, because you're allowing your body to actually learn how to eat intuitively and tell you when it's hungry and tell you when it's not. If you're somebody that you're used to eating all the things, right? Maybe your wife is an amazing, like a bomb ass chef, or maybe you are used to eating a ton of variety in food because you have a passion for food. This could be a more difficult transition for you, more like emotionally and mentally because of that. So create variety in your diets. I have created a food list here that you guys can check out if you are interested in looking at different types of food that you can eat on this. go ahead and create variety in your diet so that it's fun and that you don't feel like you're like totally missing out, because those cravings, they will go away, but your body is, again, it's adapting to kind of a new palate, and it's weaning off of the sugar and the carbs. Something to keep an eye out for during this too is the body symptoms that you might be getting. A lot of it is from withdrawal. So for example, you might have a little bit of mood changes, headaches or migraines. That's definitely a thing. If you have a diet that's been traditionally more carb heavy, a bit more processed food in there, even just sugar in general, and you no longer have that, you might have these headaches, these migraines that really suck. My advice is definitely make sure you're getting enough electrolytes in your diet so that you're not putting yourself at any like danger or anything like that, and make sure that you're covering those bases. And if so, and you're getting those headaches, it's probably from this transition phase. You might be sleepier for a little while, like more lethargic. What's actually interesting about carnivore is that eventually it actually gets to be that you start needing less and less sleep. So now I wake up, I'll go to bed at like 11:30 and I'll wake up at like 6 a.m. sharp, ready to go, like bright-eyed and happy, and that never used to happen for me. Sometimes stools are affected by this. You might either be constipated or you might actually have loose stools, and that happens like with 25 to 30% of people that transition. And a lot of the reason for loose stools is your body's adapting, you're eating more fat, which is like, you know, putting a little bit more of that in your diet, you're releasing that through your stools, but then also you're eating less fiber, and fiber tends to leave our bodies through our stools. And with eating less fiber, there's more liquid and less material to hold stools together. And this is going to be just kind of the result of this might be more like liquidy poop, for lack of a better word, stools, or diarrhea, or like I said, constipation. Eventually it's going to even out and it'll be normal over a little bit of time. Sometimes people have joint pain. That is a thing. I know that I had that my first month. Again, make sure you're getting your electrolytes. I talk about keto chow in my other video attached here that you guys can check out. That was my first month going through carnivore. You also might have just lack of focus. It's kind of like when you're weaning yourself off of coffee, for anybody that's done that. There's not this external force of energy coming in anymore. Our body actually has to start to recreate that energy for itself. And that's kind of what's happening during this transition phase too. It will go away. Don't worry, you're not stuck with that forever. I believe that our society has been stuck in a program, stuck in like a matrix basically, that we are being served all the time these ads by these companies, these profit-driven companies that are trying to tell us that their method of losing weight or gaining health is the best method, when in reality it's just a way for these companies to make a profit off of us. Big pharmaceutical is behind this, big food is behind this. I talk about life without drinking all the time as well. I think alcohol companies are behind all of this. Those companies, you know, have brainwashed us since we were kids, and our parents and our parents' parents and their parents, to believe that alcohol is actually making our lives better and that it's necessary for us to have deep connections and fulfillment in life. And though no one actually like logically would say that, it's rare to see people who don't drink in society because it's just that common. I've lived life with drinking and without drinking. I've lived life not doing carnivore and trying all of these different things and doing carnivore, and I can wholeheartedly say that for me, these are two of the best decisions I've ever made for myself. And I feel like I've like totally discovered a life hack. I feel like I'm avoiding, you know, pills and medications that I would never need in the first place by just eating this way and living this way without alcohol. And I'm so compelled to share it with you guys because I think it's that profound. That's kind of all of the information about this transition phase that I wanted to share with you. All these variables will contribute to how intense this transition phase is. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of perspective on what to expect and like kind of how to deal with it going forward. I hope you got something out of this video. If you are of the same mindset, or you are interested in learning more about life without drinking or living, you know, carnivore and other ways to challenge the paradigms that we've been taught, go ahead and subscribe below. If you like this video, if you're feeling it, go ahead and like it so other people who might need to see it can also see it for their health, their mental health, all that. And if you have any comments, any questions, such a dope community of people here. They're honestly so cool. Go ahead and drop it down below. I'm sure somebody else would love to see it too. That is all I've got. I so appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. See ya.